Hey, thanks for checking out my channel. I'm John Stark from ActionMovieGuy.com, and this is a review of Emancipation. I'm a blind film critic, so I watched this with audio description on Apple Plus. This is Apple Plus's last big swing to try to get into the Oscars. You know, last year you guys won with Coda. You can't win every year, so I'm sorry that the films that you picked out this year are the films that you have, but them's the breaks. I don't know what to tell you. Um, this is a film that is it's divisive. It's the film that everybody, when they found out it was being released this year, because it kind of slid in right there at the end. It's this and Tom Hanks is A Man Called Otto. Just kind of slid right in. They were like, "Yeah, we're gonna be in. We're gonna try to do this. Make a run for it." And of course people were like, "Really? Will Smith is trying to get another Oscar nomination just a year later?" It's not Will Smith is trying to get an Oscar nomination. It's Apple is trying to get an Oscar nomination for Emancipation. He doesn't control when his film gets released. He did a film called Emancipation for Apple, and they release it when they choose to feel like releasing it. If they feel like they can mount a campaign for this film with the slap being in the conversation, then they feel like they can do that. I mean, that was divisive as it is. There are some people who are on both sides of that argument. So I don't know that it's a killer for him. But so pre-watching Emancipation, just in general, I watch other YouTube critics. I love to hear their thoughts. It doesn't mean that I always agree with them. It doesn't mean that I bring them in here. But I like to give people shout outs sometimes when they say things and I'm like, oh, so, yeah. So I was watching Just My Opinion Reviews, which is a great channel, and you should subscribe to them as well. And he was talking about when he watched Emancipation, and he does sort of like a little bit more of a breakdown of things, where he talks about the director. First of all, he loves Antoine Fuqua way more than I do. I mean, like, he talked about Antoine Fuqua's consistency just like, I don't know, like Martin Scorsese or something, just, Stanley Kubrick, like Fuqua is up there with, and it's like, he's not really, he just really is not. I mean, I'm glad that you enjoyed some of those films, but no, he's not. But here, the writer of this film, when he started listing the credits, I was like, oh my God. It's just like shitty film after shitty film after shitty film after shitty film after shitty film. The writer for this film hasn't done a good film. Even Brandon Keith Avery, who runs Just My Opinion, had to go all the way back to Accepted in 2006 to find a film that he enjoyed that was written by this guy. Accepted. Emancipation is from the director of Accepted. Just let that sink in for a minute there. I would have never thought to look that up and be like, what else is this guy written? But I think it explains so much about the choices being made in the film and why they feel sort of non-consistent. Antoine Fuqua, I gained more respect because he came in and he took this script that could not possibly have been good and turned it around and made a watchable film out of it, with a really, really strong performance from Will Smith. I need to get that out of the way because he's fantastic in this. it's an odd film for blind people to watch because he has to be quiet most of the time. So he's very much like a silent, uh, silent but deadly. Like, that's all I can think of. Silent but deadly, just hanging out in the swamps, fighting alligators. That happens in this movie. He revenants his way through the movie, where he has to fight an actual animal, and yeah, it's all with this dream of becoming emancipated, becoming free. He's heard that Lincoln has freed the slaves, and he just needs to get to a place where he can be free, and then he can go back for his family. And I don't quite understand the controversy around the actual person this is based on and the story, so I can't comment on that. So I'm just going to pretend like I don't know anything about it. Because all I've heard are just little things referenced in videos. I didn't even know about the picture. I guess my history class sucked because this was not somebody, when I watched Birth of a Nation about Nat Turner, from, I can't remember his name. I don't even know, is he allowed to act anymore? Did we ever figure that out? But when I watched Birth of a Nation, I knew Nat Turner. I knew what it was about, but I didn't know who Peter was. So his story was completely new to me. I know there's a huge part of Black culture that is tired of seeing these like Black tragedies, that it's just like tragedy porn or whatever, and to that, this isn't 12 Years a Slave. 12 Years a Slave was a difficult watch for an entirely different reason. Even Django Unchained had some moments. This is more of an action film. This is more of an escape film. This is more, you could put this in like a Prison Break type of genre. He's constantly running, so much so that it's almost monotonous. Probably one of my bigger problems with the film is that Will Smith spends so much time sort of just running and hiding and running and hiding and running and hiding and running and hiding. And the film has focused so heavily on him from the very beginning. We start in a weird place where we get sort of introduced to his family, and then we just kind of leave them, just gone right away. And it's very odd because then we go back to them, but I feel like I have no connection to his family. Like I get that they are representative of this thing that he wants to get back to, but I don't even know the actress well enough to know that they gave her, that they were really giving her the time of day. It almost feels like she was a day player that just sort of shows up and kind of has some scenes and reacts to some things, and we just kind of flash back to her and we're like, oh, yep, she's still there. And then we flash back to Will Smith, who's, I don't know, running through the forest, climbing shit and fighting alligators. I mean, they're like two totally different things. But I think that lack of establishment in the beginning really doesn't tether us to those characters in the beginning. I mean, other than the fact that, yes, I understand the story of wanting to get back to your family. That's a universal concept. What we were given at the very beginning was not substantial enough to introduce us to those characters. I think perhaps there must have been a better known actress to put in that role, and to give things to do, by the way, because that's another thing, is this film is so centric on Will Smith. It's really hard to push this in any other category. Really, the only other actor that stands out in anything here is Ben Foster, um, who plays. I mean, I heard him written off as the typical slave owner, and it's like he's not really. He's got his own creepy thing going on, but it's way more subdued. Um, it's it's why Ben Foster's so freaking good, but we've never nominated him. We just expect this kind of stuff out of Ben Foster. We're just like, huh. I mean, yeah, of course he was good. It was Ben Foster. Well, fucking nominate him for an Oscar for something then. Like, he keeps showing up in films where, like, his co-star gets nominated and then he doesn't. You know, like, Hell or High Water. Oscar nominations. Not for Ben Foster. You know, The Messenger. Woody Harrelson got a nomination. Not Ben Foster. You know, it's just... I just wish he had more recognition within Hollywood, because he's very good. And he's very good in this. And he's very smart and calculating. And it's not in the same way that somebody like Michael Fassbender attacked a similar role with this like unbridled rage. I don't really know how to describe Ben Foster's role except to say it's very condescending, but it's also respectful in a way that he doesn't see the people he's chasing the same way the people around him see them as chasing. He doesn't actually think they're ignorant. He doesn't actually think they're stupid. He actually believes that there's an intelligence there, and he just chooses to he's like, it's like a choice of white supremacy, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not that he doesn't know he knows what he's doing, and it's a choice. Some people, they just, back in the day, they just woke up and were raised in this world, and that's just the way that it was, and their dad told them it was this way. But he has this really great monologue that sort of explains when he was a little kid and this thing that happened, and he used to think this one way, and how it's kind of shaped the way he currently thinks, and the way he approaches his hunting and his searching for escaped slaves. So it's a very, very complicated character, and he makes for a very creepy villain for Will Smith to be followed by. Whereas I have no idea who else is in this film. I couldn't care. I don't know. I feel like everybody else just kind of drifts through the film. They get introduced and they disappear. Even his own wife and family, they're just like there and they're not. This film is all about Will Smith and Will Smith's performance and putting Will Smith through hell. This is Will Smith's Revenant. This was Will Smith, I guess, assuming he was not going to win for King Richard, and he was going to need to come along afterwards with his Revenant, you know, and be like, did you see all the stuff that I went through? Please give me an Oscar. But unfortunately, he did get the Oscar for King Richard, so now Emancipation is just like, well, it's kind of like, I don't think people really actually have fun watching The Revenant over and over. No one's going to have fun watching this over and over. You watch it once and you go, wow, Will Smith's a fantastic actor. And look at Ben Foster. And that's really the film. That's the whole film. I absorbed the history out of it. I absorbed as much of the Antoine Fuqua-ness of the film. But I think the film is a little scattershot. But it rests so heavily on Will Smith's actually terrific performance. It is an actually terrific performance. I don't I don't know if we're allowed to say that, or I don't know how people feel when I say that, but I try to always be fair. This is a good performance from Will Smith. Um, so, do I think he'll be nominated? No, I do not. I don't. I don't think. First of all, there's this film. I saw the film. I saw the whole film. I don't know. Like, is this the kind of film where they could just push him? And I don't feel like this is like Till with Danielle Detweiler or Brendan Fraser with The Whale, where if you strip away the rest of the film, they will still get nominated. Even if it's the film's only nomination. I don't think Will Smith can be Emancipation's only nomination. So I think at that point, people will just not watch the film. They'll just be like, well, I don't have to see that. So, but you can see it. It's on Apple Plus. It has audio description from the lovely Tansy Alexander, who did some excellent work on this film. And like I said, this film it's constantly moving. It's shifting. It's changing. Sometimes it feels repetitive. If it feels like you're doing the same thing over and over. But later on, there are battle sequences. He joins up with the army, and it's this man's story. I don't think any of this should be spoilery since it's like history. Apparently he was real, so I'm not treating anything as a spoiler. But yeah, that's it. That's I'm glad we had audio description. It's very quiet in some places where he does not talk because he can't talk. If he makes noise, they'll find out where he is. So we need audio description to tell us, the look on his face, the scared, the breathing, what is he hiding in? Is he crawling under a dead body? Is he eating rotten food? I mean, there's so many great little descriptive moments in this. This has some really terrific audio description done to it that this film would be unwatchable. I think so. I think this film would be unwatchable without it because it would just be a lot of running sounds, a lot of just like chase and dogs barking, and just every once in a while somebody would say something. It would be really hard to watch without audio description. So, but luckily we have it. I'm going to give Emancipation a B. A lot of that is based off of the performances by Will Smith and Ben Foster, and the fact that Antoine Fuqua knows how to direct action sequences. So, if this was released not in Oscar season, I wouldn't think this was an Oscar contender. So, yeah. But it's released at the end of the year, so we're going to talk about it like it's an Oscar contender. That's it. So please subscribe. I'm 11 away from 100, which is my year-end goal. I'm so close. And I just want to talk about audio description for people. I just want to talk about films with audio description from a blind perspective. That's it. That's all I'm trying to do here. So click subscribe. I have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org and you can look up Miss Tansy Alexander and see what else she has done. That is it for me today. I will see you guys on the other side.